Hey everybody, it's Kit here. Sorry for this being up like a day late. I honestly was just really busy the last few days and just kind of recording's been taking it out of me a little bit. In general, most things have, but you know what? That's okay. I'm doing it now, and I am happy to be doing it. So yeah. Okay, so we are starting, I believe it's chapter 7, called Change. Before, previously on, we had the second half of Eli's birthday party. There was like a weird mixer between the Walkers and the Laveau folks, because Eli did win, therefore they have to join the coven for that generation, and they're not happy about it, but you know what? People gotta get together. They gotta work together for the foreseeable future. It was kind of awkward. Nobody woke up Eli. She was doing her best to hide her injuries and just in general didn't want to be there. She was just there for the food. The door knocked. Somebody knocked at the door. It was Simon. He wanted to speak to Eli, and he brought her proper birthday gifts this time, but he also said about as loud as he possibly could, "Happy birthday!" and clued everyone in that it was her birthday, which she was not happy about. To be fair, I really wouldn't either. And he gave her some very sweet gifts. He left, and then there was a hurriedly made chocolate cake on the table, with, happy 17th, Eli, and yeah, Eli didn't really have the heart to tell anybody that, she doesn't like chocolate, but you know what, it was sweet, they tried, she just was appreciative and did all that, and then her mom kind of threw out a few more lies, which Eli was really not happy about. So she went up to her room, played video games, fell asleep, and Dimitri came in and basically broke into her room. And he went around New York trying to figure out what would be a good gift for her, and he decided the largest first aid kit known to man that he could find, basically the size of a suitcase. They had to use it because he kind of scared her when he woke her up, so she punched him in the face, and he got her a cookie cake and all this stuff, and yes, their relationship's weird. She doesn't exactly like it. They have chemistry, but hot cold. Plus there's a lot of things that he's hiding, and so is she. They're both hiding things. They became really fast friends, as kids can do, but they're not kids anymore, And I'm definitely seeing a lot of places that I can get better, and I'm seeing a lot of things where I feel like my writing has improved over the years, because this was my first proper finished novel, and I've finished 2 of them. My second, I feel is a lot better than my first. This is my first, so yeah. But anyway. Yeah, that was the Aftermath chapter 6, and now we are on chapter 7, Change. So, yeah. And I hope everybody's week's been good so far. I woke up to the bustling of a kitchen and foreign swear words. I opened my eyes to find people bustling about, completely ignoring my presence. Maybe because I wasn't there. I quickly stood up, looking back at the spotless floor where I had previously been laying on some sort of very expensive tile. As I looked around the kitchen, yawning and eyeing the plates of many strange appetizers and entrees being cooked and delivered out the big wooden doors, it became apparent that no one could see me. I was in someone else's memory. Stretching out my sore arms, I followed the harried waiters and dressed in antique-looking clothing. Harried waiters dressed in antique-looking clothing out the doors, deciding to join the flow of people. I was in some sort of fancy palace, probably in Italy or Rome. The architecture just had that feel. I yawned once more and rubbed my eyes and stretched a bit. More awake now, I tapped into my senses, fingers going to my necklace. I felt the whisper of magic pulling me to my left, so I opened my eyes and followed the flow of people. Down 2 flights of stairs into the basement and through a series of doors later, we all stopped. I stood on my tiptoes and peered over everyone's heads. A huge set of heavy iron doors blocked our entry, and scowl-faced guards with halberds checked the line. As they came closer, I realized their belts, partially hidden under ruby cloaks and leather armor, were stocked with stakes, bulbs of garlic, crosses, and little vials of holy water. So this was about vampires. A few minutes later, they eventually let us in, and we began shuffling forward like a prisoner line. The room was... sorry, that's distracting me. The room was... You probably didn't see that. That was my cursor. Making things pop up. Okay. The room was a magnificently large, luxurious ballroom with a large table set for over 100, with many of the guests strolling around, conversing with each other. I stared in horror at the dresses that were more like ballroom gowns. There should be a "were" in there. With big puffy umbrellas for skirts. The hairstyles were atrocious. High curls, fake wigs. I wanted to gag. Thank the Lord they can't see me. I didn't think my oversized shirt and boxers would blend in well. Once again, the whisper of magic stirred my feet into action, and I left the relative safety of the line and branched off on my own, eyes intent to observe. I quickly found there to be 3 separate groups. The nobles, who looked the most at ease, but had fear oozing off of them, breaking the charade. Dressed in silks and robes with no weapons to protect them or armor, I would have been scared too. There weren't very many of them. The next group was simple to find. Vampires stalked the crowd, the lapel on their custom-tailored tail jackets marking them with a single black rose that made identifying them that much more obvious. The group had called themselves the Black Rose, obviously, and were like the mafia in today's modern world. Their leader had been unknown to the world, and that had scared a lot of people. But even as scared as the nobles were, the gents soon began to fall under the wiles of the charismatic vampires, and I saw more than one flash of fang. That sight alone wasn't a confidence booster that I was here now, even invisible. The final group was stoic, tense, and armed to the teeth under their all-black hunting attire. However, it wasn't any of this that caught my attention, but the children with them. Eyes I had seen just hours ago on innocent faces I had never seen before. Gray and silver storm clouds. Dimitri's. My heart began to speed up, but before I could question this anymore, a noble rang a small dinner bell and the tension in the air spiked. Everyone began to stiffly walk to the tables, sitting down. The children were placed in the middle, the most heavily guarded. But why even bring children into such a dangerous situation anyway? What kind of parents were these? My eyes were pulled to the one left standing at the head of the table, his eyes coolly staring at me. Eyes that were once again familiar. I felt a presence behind me, and someone with cool, minty, fresh breath whispered in my ear. Okay. Sorry, little bite. But if you wanted in my head, you should have asked, Dracula humorously whispered, stepping around me fluidly, while brandishing a red quill. The leader of the hunters was now holding a scroll, and the magic screamed at me. The quill and the scroll, a binding contract. Dracula's hand covertly pushed me hard, and I flew back toward the wall. Hey! I yelled indignantly. Then everything went into slow motion as I slipped back to my time. Knives pressing to palms, the quill being dipped in the blood. The last thing I saw was Dracula's coat button winking at me. Oh, that's a thought. Okay. I woke up with a yelp, bolting out of bed in a wild state of confusion. My heart was beating out of my chest, and I looked around, taking deep, deep breaths. What the heck? Dracula! I hissed, fury bubbling in my veins. The next time I saw that bloodsucker, he and I would be having some serious words. I glanced at the clock and groaned. I had gotten 3 bloody hours of sleep. I sighed. Dang it. I stalked into the bathroom, deciding to just get up and go for a run. After all, what teen doesn't get up at 4:45 and go for a jog in the summer? Because it's such a smart thing to do, especially with a cast. Did I care? No. I was going to make Simon take the blasted thing off when I saw him next. I splashed my face in the dark, brushed my teeth, and threw my slightly curled hair into a messy bun. Ever since the Marie Laveau bathroom incident, I was very careful to not look in the mirror if I didn't have to. I didn't want to know who or what was watching. Also, I should clarify, and it wasn't necessarily pointed out, but like when she was stretching her arms and things, she didn't have the cast. Like her arm was fine in the dream memory. Like she was in someone else's memory, but she was sleeping, if that makes sense. It's magic. Yeah. I tiptoed down the flight of stairs, sliding the deadbolt back and escaping the house. I heard the deadbolt snap back once I closed the door. Looking back, I reflected to the first day I'd seen the house. I looked up at the imposing dark walls of my new home, grimacing slightly at the high-pitched voice of my new half-sister as she jabbered on and on about how we had to fix my sense of style if she would be seen with me, Ariana broaching the subject of a new house guest to Caroline, the grandmother I had never known. This was my new life. A prisoner of age and time, stuck in a house that wasn't mine. Looking at it now, my viewpoint hadn't changed that much. The inside was just as antiquated as the outside, still as imposing, and yet it was mine. I don't know if I would ever get used to that. I turned around and began to warm up before my jog. There was no use dwelling on your past if you were a traveler. You could never change it, only go back and rewatch your own failures. I turned away from the house and began my jog. By the way, I've never broken an arm. I don't know how it feels like in a cast and stuff, so probably in the rebound, right? She's not going to be jogging. Unless for some reason her arm's feeling better, but now that I'm thinking about it, that would probably hurt. Probably. I don't know. As I ran, the sun began its slow awakening, the horizon once again turning that periwinkle violet color. It made me think of the sunsets and sunrises of my home in California, with Dad rousting me out of bed for a quick swim in the surf, the delicious fluffy steaming waffles ready for us when we got back. I smiled as I slipped into the memories, the steady beat of my feet pounding the pavement, keeping me grounded to the present. The memories of us playing dress-up, how he never complained once at me tugging at his sandy hair as I tried to put it into a braid. The time I wanted a pink unicorn surfboard, learning how to go into the rifts for the first time. Even the time when bratty 13-year-old me demanded no more pink, which covered every inch of my room and closet. We had struck a deal that morning. I pay for half and he pays for half. Then we worked together and changed out all of my furniture and stuff. It took me 3 hard months of dog walking, doing errands and chores for Simon, being the lowly intern I was at the time, saving every penny until I finally got my dream room. It taught me a lot about the value of hard work. After that, I wanted to stay on under Dad, Gramps, and Simon, to learn everything about what it took to be a traveler. It had been part of my life ever since. I had 2 awesome years with them, until it all went to heck in a handbasket and my life was changed forever. I blinked, wiping the flowing tears away and sniffling. No matter how strong or cold-hearted I acted, I really was weak. I couldn't even think of my dad without the tears streaming down my face. A weak person cried, and I didn't want to be weak, but I couldn't help it. I just missed him so dang much. I wanted to wake up in the sea breeze and I wanted to wake up to the sea breeze coming from my open balcony doors, stretch in the pre-dawn atmosphere, and go swimming with my dad in the calm ocean, then eat waffles, just like we used to. It was our tradition, and now it was all gone. I would give anything and everything just for one more morning with him. But he was dead, and you couldn't go back. No one can cheat death or time. I finished my jog and turned back to do the cool-down walk, heading back to the brownstone house. I never knew what to call it, this spooky house of the evil stepfamily. Too wordy. I spent the majority of the walk vigorously rubbing my eyes and trying to make it look like I hadn't just been crying my eyes out. My mother would get too much satisfaction with that, although she was probably putting on the mountains of makeup that she wore every day right now. Yet another difference between my mother and I. I got back to the house at the same time as Dim did. He was covered in sweat and grime with jogging shorts and a wet white t-shirt on. Obviously he had the same idea as me, but that didn't make it any less awkward. We did that you go, no you thing, and he eventually just yanked open the door and stormed inside, leaving me shaking my head after him. Like I said, awkward. The feeling didn't go away either, because he was impatiently waiting for me to come inside. Not a word was said as I walked past him, only for him to silently follow me. Together Dim and I walked up the darkened stairs, rays of morning light shining through the dusted, lofty windows, dust bunnies floating in the air. The creaking stairs and our synchronized breathing was all that was heard. Neither of us spoke as we climbed up the last steps. Dim pushed past me to go through a door directly across from mine. Except there hadn't been a door there 3 days ago. Had there? I took a cautious step on the landing, staring at the dusty ancient hallway the attic landing hadn't had 3 days ago, stunned. This house. Ugh. I muttered, going to the relative safety of my sanctuary. Only 363 more days, Eli. Just 363. I breathed, going over to my neglected calendar and Xing the last few days out. Today was Wednesday. I felt like dressing up a little, like the old days. Smiling a little, I hurried to the shower. I would be a little late thanks to Dim and my run, but I did have a job to go to after all and a cast to get off. I don't think Simon would mind. Might make him feel all important to give me a lecture, all parent-like. Snorting at the thought, I hummed, rubbing my scalp. She's a small-town, hard-working woman just trying to make a living, working 3 jobs, feeding 4 little mouths in a run-down kitchen. When you never take nothing and doing nothing but giving, it's hard to be a good wife and a good mom and a good Christian. She said I don't drink, but sometimes I need a stiff drink, sipping from a half-full glass, let the world fade away. She said I don't smoke, but sometimes I need a long drag. Yeah, I know it might sound bad, but sometimes I need a smoke break, yeah. I sang the Carrie Underwood song, dancing and bobbing in the shower, grinning. Hey, that smoke break didn't sound half bad. I wonder if Simon would let me drink on the job. Simon would kill you. Simon would kill you. Oh my god. You are 17, not 21, child. You have 5 more years. Once I was done with the shower, I padded over to my closet, foregoing the usual spread that was out on my bed and which was, heaven forbid, a sexy red bra set, skinny jeans, a nice leather jacket, and a low-cut purple top, finished with knee-high leather boots. No. The lingerie wasn't mine, not really anyway. Eileen got it for me for my 16th birthday as a joke, I hope. The crazy lady hadn't much to say on the subject, and she was still on her top-secret classified hush-hush mission. It had stayed in the back corner of my underwear drawer since that day, and waiting patiently until she got back. I would burn to shreds after getting an explanation. Instead, I pulled out a comfortable navy blue striped bikini, put that on, then some white beach shorts and a pale turquoise beach top complete with matching sandals. Today, I was going to relax and maybe even go for a swim at that pool at the gym, kicking the towel in the direction of my dirty hamper, which never seemed to have dirty clothes in it. I walked into the bathroom and brushed out my damp brown locks that were already starting to dry. I decided to just let them dry, feeling like it would be a naturally wavy, gorgeous, and sexy day. I looked at myself in the mirror. I still looked the same. Maybe slightly skinnier, still tired, but there was something else there. They say the eyes are windows to the soul. Same for magic. It settles deep in your bones, vibrates against your skin. A way of distinguishing who is stronger than the other without bloodshed, unless egos get involved. It is a signature. Looking at my reflection, something has changed. My eyes have shifted ever so slightly. The colors are more pronounced, brighter, whispering with potential. For what? But for what? Fire and darkness. Water and light. I blinked, turning away, and quickly grabbed my bag, running out of my room, far away from myself, from the answers I needed. I wasn't ready for this, for any of this. Storms are brewing, Marie said. Whatever it was, I wasn't ready. I needed time, an eternity. But whatever it was, wherever it is, I didn't think it was too keen on waiting. Rosa ambushed me as soon as I crossed the threshold of the DoD office, pulling me away from Simon's reproachful glare at my tardiness. She pushed me into her office and slammed the door shut behind her, eyes bright with excitement. For gossip. Mighty Lord above, please save me from this torment. Please. I silently prayed, slumping into a chair, pushing the bangs from my eyes. Suddenly I wasn't too cheerful anymore, not when a bloodhound was staring at me hungrily. Tell me everything, Rosa exclaimed, sitting next to me in the chair, leaning forward excitedly. I swallowed, blinking slowly. About? I asked warily, leaning back. This Morpheus fellow, Dimitri. Is he cute? Have you two kissed yet? How long have you known he's been back in town since you two met when you were itty-bitty? I want details, honey, and now. Oh, your granddaddy is gonna have such a conniption fit. Ooh. She tissed with glee, clasping her hands together. I groaned and slumped further, my cheeks rosy with furious blushing. Dim? We haven't... I haven't... I would never... No, Rosa, just no. Ugh. I put my face in my hands, wanting to disappear. But why not? You two are just so adorable. He's so moody and pale, with just absolutely dreamy eyes. And you have that Californian sass going on with your quick wit and no bullshit stance. A match made in heaven. Not to mention, you should dress like that more often. You were looking just fine today, dear. She chattered on and on, not noticing Simon sneak. The door opened, silent mirth written all over his face. Instead of a lecture, I get to have the talk with Rosa. Oh, I bet this was just heaven in his eyes. The best comedy channel in his own office. I glared at him when he stuck his tongue out. You are so dead, I mouthed at him, scowling fiercely at the recording device. Yeah, no, I would kill. Half hidden in his palm. Jackhole? No! We are complete opposites, and he's such a moody douche anyway, Rosa. It would never work out. And Gramps isn't going to have a conniption fit because he's never going to hear about this. I am the one about to have a stroke from this conversation. But no, Dim and I will never, and I mean never, get together or, so help me, hook up. Ew. I added for emphasis, standing up and darting out of the office, going to my desk and locking the door behind me, very nearly avoiding Simon and Rosa, who were chasing after me, laughter ringing in all of our ears. Idiots, I huffed, smoothing my hair down, mind switching to work mode as I booted up my computer. Dim and I, as if. Okay, hold up. I want to just know how much more... A lot. Jesus. Clock won't stop. Okay. What page? Okay. Okay. Well, actually, maybe it's not as much. We'll go a little bit more. A few hours later, my phone rang. Tongue stuck between my teeth, eyes almost cross-eyed, I absentmindedly answered it. This is Keeper Bishop. How may I help you? Eileen's excited shriek spilled into my ear, and I jerked the phone back. What is this about you finding true love? Is Rosa BSing me? Eileen paused for breath, and I swooped into her, hurriedly speaking. No true love, no nothing. There is a guy whose family is acquaintances with Ariana's family. They are staying with us for now in separate rooms. Yes, I met him a long time ago before he became a complete jerk. But a hot one, my traitor's inner voice added. But there was nothing between us then. Never has there been anything between us. I swear, Eileen. The line was silent for a moment. Then Eileen spoke. I can hear your lies all the way across the world, Ellie. I sighed, biting my lip and standing up to pace. It doesn't matter, Eileen. His family hates the Laveaus, and I am one. It would never work, I sighed, defeated. Eileen sighed with me soothingly. Honey, families don't matter. You matter. And so does Dimitri. You have to ask yourself, what does Eli want? If it's Dimitri, go after him. He's a teenage boy on the opposite gender. They are stupid. They never know what they want, just running around aimlessly like a lost puppy. You have to train them, show them the way, man the leash. It's only when they grow up and become men that they turn into knowledgeable human beings. That's just the way the world works. I snorted at her reasoning. I don't know what I want or what he wants. All I know is that we come from 2 different worlds, 2 different magics. It wouldn't work, I said before saying goodbye, feeling worse than before. Did I think that Dim was cute boyfriend material? Maybe. But I didn't think the heartache was worth it. There was too much bad blood between our families that probably would never go away. Too many mysteries to solve. But I was just a girl. One without her dad and muddling her way through a world she didn't understand. I couldn't fix it all. I stared blankly at the screen, then turned the computer off. I needed to swim, clear my head, get away from everything. I packed my stuff up, said bye to Simon, who took pity on me and took the cast off and gave me the okay to quit work for the day. Then I caught a rift to a remote beach somewhere. Not a person in sight. No one to see me break down. My bag fell off my shoulder with a soft thump in the sand. The sandals went next, followed by my outfit. I waded out into the deep blue ocean, the sun warm on my skin in contrast to the cold water that left goosebumps everywhere. I kept walking until I couldn't touch the bottom anymore. Then I sank and swam further. I stayed under for a few minutes at a time. I had always been able to hold my breath for minutes at a time with no repercussions. I took advantage of that now, swimming alone in the deep blue. It was beautiful down here, hauntingly serene. A few groups of fish swam at the edge of my vision, but even here they knew I was a predator. I swam up, took a leisurely breath, noting the island was a little ways away. Instead of going closer, I went back under and found a sandy clearing to hover over. I floated a little, my knees hugged in the fetal position, my eyes closed to fight the tears in salt water. Dad had always said, when everything was changing, the ocean was a constant. It would always be there even when everything was falling apart. He said when the ocean wasn't there anymore, you would know that the world was truly done for. But until then, the ocean would remain a beacon of hope, of something better. Just like the ocean, he would always be there, a constant for me, someone to lean on if I ever needed it. He always said that to me. I never had any reason to doubt him until my 15th birthday. He went out to get more soda for my party as we had lots of guests. He never came back. I felt it when he died. That snapping feeling in the middle of my chest, our bond, what tethered us together as a family, splitting apart deep in my consciousness. I was in the hospital ward for a week recovering. When I woke up, Simon was there. He and Eileen were my godparents, since Gramps was out of town, and Eileen was often gone on her frequent missions. He tried to take custody of me, but they tracked my mother down. So instead of going with Simon, whom I had known my entire life and loved like an uncle, I went with the woman who had abandoned me at birth. My world had changed in a week, in a day. I found out later that Dad had been pulled into a greater demon rift. That small, childish hope that he might come back was snuffed out then. No one came back from those. So I dove into my work, taking on more responsibilities, even graduated from high school at the ripe age of 15. Dad had always homeschooled me and instilled in me the importance of a good education. While I wanted that college experience, I wasn't ready, so I asked Simon if I could take on full-time instead of part-time at work, and he agreed. Ariana had never questioned if I went to school, only my choice in clothing. She never cared about the real me or my life, just how I affected her family's image. I always wanted a mother, and Eileen really had been one to me, still was. But when Ariana came back and took me to her house, I had foolishly thought that maybe, just maybe, she wanted me back in her life. But no, I was just a legal obligation to her, and that was all I would ever be. Sobbing, I screamed as loud as I could. The water muffled my tantrum, but something inside of me loosened. The walls I had meticulously built around my heart and magic, fractured as they were. The chaos filled my mind, but instead of being terrified and shoving it away, I embraced it and let it go. A force of energy blasted from me, and I was suddenly being pushed and shoved by riptides. The sky crackled and zapped with lightning, and angry torrents of rain hailed on the previously calm ocean. The storm in my mind had entered reality, and hurricanes and waterspouts rained over the ocean. I broke the surface and did my best to tread the frothy waves that were threatening to tear me apart. The rain blinded me, and soon the hurricane was on top of me, throwing me under and picking me up in the air. The water around me zipped and yanked me into the eye of the funnel, and I landed with a splash on the magically solid surface of the ocean. Shakily, I stood up and stared up at the storm in fear and awe. I walked slowly, limping a little. I did this, I whispered, swallowing hard. This is what my power was. Pure, undiluted magic. Forces of nature to be used however I wished. My cuts and bruises magically disappeared during the swim, I realized with amazement as I looked down at myself. And I felt better than I had in ages, more alive, like I had been denying myself the nutrients I had needed. I looked down at my hands, which were cloaked in some sort of cosmic energy. I held my hands out in front of me and pushed. The storm whistled and howled as it moved slowly in the direction I had wanted, towards the island. I could just barely see through the walls of the hurricane, the water magically clear. When I was close enough to wade the rest of the way, I let my hands and the magic fall down to my sides. The rains stopped, and the hurricane just went back to being calm. Just like that. I looked around in amazement, then noticed the little fishing boats in the distance for the first time. Some were sailing away as fast as the winds would take them, but some were coming closer, wanting to check out the location of the freakiest storm ever to hit the island. Blowing out of breath, I splashed my way out of the waters, threw on my wet clothes over my soaked body, and grabbed my sandals and bag from the muddy sands. I concentrated and leaped through the rifts that appeared, traveling through space and time once more to appear on the doorstep of the brownstone. Breathing hard, I yanked open the door and tumbled inside, still stunned at what had just happened. A beach towel appeared on the back of the fancy couch in the parlor, and I dumped my stuff on the floor, drying myself out. Okay. And that is where we're gonna stop it. For now. And we will finish the rest, hopefully next time. Not quite halfway, I think, but we're getting somewhat close. Yeah. Possibly see a plot hole. Thinking ahead a little bit. Also saw something else that I could possibly tie in on a somewhat weak plot point. So, yeah. All in all, though, I am enjoying it. Definitely, at least I feel like my descriptions are fairly good. I don't know. Eli's got a lot of emotional turmoil, though. Her mom definitely needs to be worked on as a character for sure. Or at least a better explanation of, like, oh, homeschooled and all that. Just some small stuff, I guess. Although I suppose there are some truly negligent parents out there. I just don't really know them. Thankfully, I've never encountered one. So, yeah. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I'm, again, sorry for getting it late. But, you know, hey, 2 for Wednesday, maybe? I don't know. Happy hump day. Hopefully we got some good progress on the dragon crochet gloves that I'm working on. I will include the link in the description below to the free pattern I used. I'm making them for a commission, so that's pretty cool. I might have to make me some too, because they're kind of pretty nifty, actually. But yeah, so Eli and I will see whomever, I guess, next week, maybe? I don't know. I will do it on Tuesday. I swear. Unless the world sets itself on fire like it has this week, too. Just hate that, you know? Anyway, I will see you all next time. Have a great week. Bye!